Gladiator 2 is definitely in the works, and while Russell Crowe played the original film's primary character, it's a good thing Maximus won't be returning for some major reasons. Gladiator is one of the year's most beloved films, having had a huge cultural impact and winning Best Picture at the Oscars. Speaking of Oscar, the lead is already an Oscar nominee, and he is not only the great actor but joining the cast. There is also Barry from the Batman coming with Gladiator, and guess what? The great casting doesn't end there, so stick around and let's find out more. Some have speculated that Maximus, played by Russell Crowe, may return for Gladiator 2. Bringing Maximus back for Gladiator 2 would, however, not only harm the sequel by making no sense, but also harm the original picture. When it was first released in 2000, Ridley Scott's Gladiator was a major commercial and critical hit, and it is now regarded as one of the pinnacles of the renowned director's body of work. Astonishingly, a Gladiator sequel has taken this long, given its legacy, since it's taken a little too long to capitalize on the success of the first film. But now that Ridley Scott has officially announced the existence of Gladiator 2, it is known that the sequel will center on Paul Mescal's Lucius, Commodus' nephew from the first movie. It's interesting to note that Russell Crowe has stated he will not be appearing in Gladiator 2, which is a good thing. The fact that the character Maximus had a happy ending in the first Gladiator is the main argument against Russell Crowe's Maximus returning in Gladiator 2. Although Gladiator is a terrific movie, its characters are quite flat, with Maximus being primarily motivated by retribution. In Gladiator, Commodus stages a coup that results in the murder of Maximus's family and his sale into slavery. Maximus eventually kills Commodus by taking part in the gladiatorial games because he loves his family and wants to rise back to the top of the Roman political hierarchy. After completing his duty, Maximus passes away after Gladiator, and his last scene depicts him reconciling with his wife and kid in the afterlife. Because of how beautifully this sequence concludes Maximus's journey in the Gladiator universe, it would be a grave error for Russell Crowe to reprise his role as Maximus in Gladiator 2. The ending of Maximus's story is so flawlessly woven together that adding any more material runs the risk of diluting its original simplicity and beauty. Maximus's motivation, which makes him such a brilliant character, would be tarnished if he were brought back into the picture in Gladiator 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel before continuing for further updates. Now that we're back on topic, another reason why it's a good thing that Russell Crowe won't be appearing in Gladiator 2 is because every plan for his return was completely absurd. Maximus cannot possibly return in a manner that does not undermine the realistic tone of the first Gladiator film. Maximus's story would be further harmed by bringing him back to life for Gladiator 2, even though the Roman afterlife is hinted to be true in the first movie. Maximus must therefore remain decapitated in Gladiator 2. Maximus's ability to come back from the dead has also been the subject of speculation, but each one is ridiculous. What do you think, guys? Is it good to bring back Russell? I don't think so. Let me know your view in the comment section. Back to our business. The main ideas for Maximus's potential comeback in Gladiator 2 center on Lucius, the main character for the follow-up. A young Lucius admires Maximus in the first movie while watching the Gladiator battle. Although the two have a wonderful bond, it is not important enough for Maximus to show up in a flashback or dream that a mature Lucius has in Gladiator 2. It would be much easier to just completely cut Maximus from Gladiator 2 than to try to work one of these scenarios in without it sounding forced or unnatural. Even though Maximus serves as the primary protagonist of Gladiator, it wouldn't make sense for him to be the only character to return in Gladiator 2. It would only make sense for Lucius to dream about other characters who had a much greater impact on him if he had a dream about Maximus. For instance, it would make more sense for Lucius to dream about his mother, his grandpa, and his uncle Commodus, which would require the return of these individuals in Gladiator 2. The universe and plot of Gladiator would only suffer more if all of these people were brought back. They would transform Lucius's personal story in Gladiator 2 into a throwback extravaganza, starring many of the principal players from the first Gladiator. Even though having them all back would seem out of place, having Maximus come back would require their return. With Maximus, Gladiator put itself in a bind. Therefore, it's for the best that Russell Crowe's character won't be appearing at all. Gladiator 2's narrative will be significantly improved by concentrating on brand new characters rather than bringing back a cast of familiar faces. Although Lucius is ostensibly a recurring character, the first Gladiator gave the little kid so little screen time that the sequel could completely reinvent him. Along with an original villain played by Barry Keoghan, Gladiator 2 will also depart from the original movie setting. Focusing on the original characters is the best way to make Gladiator 2 a sequel in tone and themes, rather than in the tale. Barry Keoghan, a fan favorite from the Batman and Eternals franchises, is in negotiations to play a significant role in Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2. Paul Mescal, the breakout star of Normal People, will play the title character in Scott's new Gladiator, which will be released more than 20 years after the original. The first movie featured Russell Crowe as Maximus, a betrayed commander compelled to participate in a gladiatorial battle to exact revenge on those who killed his family. 5 Academy Awards were nominated for Gladiator, which took home Best Picture and Best Actor for Crowe. The Hollywood Reporter also reported that Keoghan is in talks to star in Gladiator 2, which will soon begin filming. Keoghan would portray Emperor Geta if the discussions were successful. The movie is not supposed to be based on true events, despite Geta being a real ruler. In addition, Keoghan recently received an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor in his work in The Banshees of Inisherin, establishing his career for important roles in Gladiator 2 and other films. After all the money in the world and Scott's next Napoleon movie, Scott is once again at the helm for Gladiator 2, directing from a script by David Scarpa. The Last Duel and The Kingdom of Heaven, 2 historical films that the filmmaker enjoys, provide examples of the kind of tone that Gladiator 2 will probably adopt when it adds new characters and advances beyond the story of the first movie. As the title suggests, there will probably be gladiatorial combat, but the movie may go off the path of the epic involving swords and sandals to engage in political dialogue. The son of Connie Nielsen's Lucilla from the first movie, who was first represented by Spencer Treat Clark, Mescal is playing an older Lucius. Crowe has stated that he will not be appearing in the sequel, although he did provide some information about the movie's still secretive premise. Crowe claims that Gladiator 2 picks up with Lucius as the Emperor, 30 years after the events of the first film. Earlier plans for the sequel involve Lucius looking for the truth about his parentage, and that plot element might still be present. The Gladiator 2 story will benefit from an emphasis on fresh people, but bringing back previous characters like Maximus may harm that story. Since Maximus has already received adequate development, bringing him back would only serve to detract from Lucius and the other original character stories. The development of new characters to the point where they are as adored as Maximus and Commodus is a much better idea than having old characters return. Gladiator 2 has a lot of potential, and Russell Crowe's absence is a positive indication of the movie's direction. As the video comes to an end, tell me your favorite character from Gladiator 1. I chose Maximus. Let me know your view in the comment section. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you at the next one.